those who seek the rebirth of a kingdom and those who seek to defend it. They differ in ideologies, principles, and goals. And an unavoidable destiny, they near their collision, arming themselves with deadly weapons. Carrying their determination in their hearts, they close in on the final battle. That's how you do a setup episode. This week's episode was great because they're getting us prepared for the battle between Night Raid and the Jaegers. It's all been leading up to this moment. This week's episode was exciting because there was also a brand new intro. While I did like the imagery, I do have to be honest, I liked the song from the first intro a lot better. It just got me more hyped up for the show. But still, the intro is great because it's basically just getting you ready for the battle between Night Raid and the Jaegers. And I don't know how long this is going to go in this arc, if they're going to stretch it out and sort of follow each member of the group, but I really wouldn't mind that, especially because it ends with a really nice cliffhanger, getting to see some of Kuromi's abilities for the very first time, which are ridiculous. She's basically a necromancer, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But this week's episode was basically the calm before the storm. There was a few cool scenes, like how it opened up where Chelsea was taking out this one guy, and then the Jaegers busted in the room to try and capture her, but she transformed into a cat, luckily because she did a little research on the guy first, and he had a lot of pet cats. It's at this point that they realize that the Jaegers are literally hunting them down, and eventually it's just going to come to that point where they're going to have to fight against each other. And there's this big war going on between this religious group in the capital called the Path of Peace, and they figured that this is their best opportunity to get in there and take out the Jaegers and possibly take out the capital from the inside. Now, what's really great about this, too, is we also get to see what's going on the Jaeger side of things. Seiryu. This chick is nuts. She is so beyond crazy, but she's really fun to watch. And she's honestly one of the scariest characters in the show because of how unpredictable she is. She runs into these, like, 3 group of bandits. She has them all tied up, and she's basically just going to be Judge Dredd and kill them with the help of Koro. And then this one chick actually begs for her life. She claims that she was just dragged into the situation. This means nothing to the robotic Seiryu at this moment. And she has Koro transform her arm into this massive sword, and then she finishes her off right there. And you can see that this deeply disturbs Wave, and he even himself notices that something in the capital is just not right. Maybe this is our first hint to the fact that maybe he's going to defect from the Jaegers and maybe even join Night Raid in the future, because both him and Tatsumi are basically the same character. And speaking of Wave again, that scene at the very end where he was riding with Bowles and Kuromi, because the Jaegers are splitting up because they're going to try and find the other members of Night Raid, but Night Raid has somehow tricked them into basically just having 3 people come out and they're all going to just ambush them at once. The thing is, Wave gets knocked away instantly, like frickin' Team Rocket from Pokemon. If they'd have only added like a little ding noise when he flew away, it would have been really funny, but he probably just put his armor on when he was in mid-flight and was able to just get back down. He's probably running right back towards the battlefield. But you'd think they had a huge advantage on him. That is until Kuromi comes out, she sees Akame is there, and you could just feel the tension between the two, especially when she lifts her sword into the sky. This weird, like, evil, like, black energy is emanating from the sword, and suddenly these zombies and creatures start coming up out of the ground, and she apparently has the ability to turn people into puppets, and that includes, like, old dead skeletons and monsters, including this one big danger beast, which basically just looks like a T-Rex on steroids, and she's just hanging out on its hand, and she's gonna use that in battle. And that's how they ended this week's episode, which was freaking great. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Akame ga Kill? Really, really good setup episode. I didn't even mention all of the really good comedy bits, all of the fan service when they were down by the river. If you wanted to see some Leone and Chelsea, and even some Akame and mine, this is the episode for you. And it didn't really focus on that too much, and I'm kind of glad because I was kind of told that this week's episode might be the beach episode, and considering we just had that last week with Esdeath, I'm not really prepared for that again this week. Luckily, it went by real quick, they got past it, and it was basically a good scene to show us that Akame is really freaked out that she's going to have to go up against her sister, and this is why Mine sort of like appoints it to herself to try and take out Kuromi, so that Akame will not have to deal with that baggage. And she even reassures her, you know, that they're always going to be there, they're going to be friends, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, the humor this week was also really good, especially with Susanoo and Lubbock. Especially that scene when Susanoo turned into the big, like, buff scarecrow, and he came out and knocked Wave away. That was just really funny. And, you know, it also just shows how amazing Kuromi is because she was able to, like, block that attack, but it still sent Wei flying. But, you know, he's just in a completely different league when compared to, like, say, Bulls, I guess. And here's something that I didn't expect, and I imagine everybody's going to have, like, a different opinion on this and how they feel about it. You know, obviously, the cool dynamic about Night Raid and the Jaegers is that they're not really heroes, and they're not really villains either. Like, I especially love that quote at the very middle of the episode, which I quoted at the beginning of the review, which is all about the one group that is seeking to make the kingdom new, and one that's trying to defend it. They're just fighting for their own ideals, and they don't really seem to have any, like, evil, like, plans. Like, I still think there's something up with Esdeath we don't quite know yet, just because she's so mysterious and very hard to read, and that could even go for Kuromi as well. But, you know, with Bulls, like, the fact that we got to know him a little bit, we got to see his family, like, if he gets killed or something, like, I'm afraid of that character dying. It's actually going to be a sad death for that character because you got invested in who he is and what his life is like. And I just think that's really interesting. There really isn't like a clear-cut good guy, bad guy, and that's one of the coolest things about this show. Otherwise, pretty great episode, really good character artwork, animation was good, the music cues were really good, especially in the middle when they were getting ready to build up the battle between the two. Fan service, comedy, action, this series really has it all. You know, it's just a fun series to watch. It's simple as that. If you like good action and some interesting characters, then check out this show. And, you know, I mentioned the soundtrack, but I really think it adds a lot to the show. And I think that's something that's really important. I really wish more shows would put a lot of work into their soundtracks, because it can honestly make or break a show and can add so much atmosphere to it. And the music cues they chose this week were really appropriate, and they really added this, like, foreboding, like, nature to all of the scenes. So I really appreciated that. Otherwise, I really loved this episode a lot, even though it was just a setup episode. It wasn't perfect. There were some scenes they could have cut entirely, but otherwise, I still really enjoyed it, and I'm really, really pumped up for next week's episode, which looks like it's just going to be really exciting. I have no idea where this is going, so I'm really enjoying Akame ga Kill right now. It's definitely one of my favorite shows to watch in the week. It never really, like, completely blows me away, but it's just always really, really fun to watch. If that's the one thing I need to stress, the show is very entertaining. So check it out. Really good stuff. I'm giving this week's episode a 4 out of 5. Check it out, guys. Thank you guys for watching my review. If you liked this video, make sure and give it a thumbs up. Before you guys leave, please tell me what you thought about this week's episode of Akame ga Kill. What battles are you looking forward to seeing? Did you like the brand new intro? And what do you want to see from the rest of the Akame ga Kill anime series? Before you guys leave, please subscribe to our channel if you have not already. That way you can check out all of our awesome anime and manga reviews. We're reviewing everything from Naruto, Gundam, Parasite the Maxim, everything. You can subscribe by clicking on the little icon right up here. You can also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter.